Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, and I'll say Shalom to Aknakwat out there, pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. It's a little short one. I say as, they always end up going longer. But this is kind of a topic that was running through my mind last night during Sabbath. I was kind of bullshitting with ChatGPT about it. And, it really started out with, I was really curious about, how people now in society, have gotten so complacent, and they don't really seem to realize, that the state of the world is in a constant state of degradation. All right. Or degradation, excuse me. And you can actually go and look up that word as well. Degradation. It'll correct it. Degradation. All right. It says the condition or process of degrading or being degraded. Now, if you go into degrading, it means it's not, about humiliation. We're going with this one right here. Number 2, as far as the verbs go, it says to break down or deteriorate chemically. Okay, to break down, deteriorate, to degenerate, to decay, all right, to atrophy. Okay, geology, to wear down, in the example of rock, and to cause it to disintegrate. All right, really, we're dealing with the disintegration, all right, or the degeneration of society. All right, to decline, deteriorate physically or mentally, decline, sink, slip, slide, worsen, elapse, fail, slump, regress, retrogress, decay, rot. Okay, go down the toilet. Where's go down the tubes? There it is. Go down the tubes. Okay, retrograde. Okay, weaken, wasting away. Okay, the society is really wasting away. They're not saying the constant wasting away, all right, of the society. And so I was really just pondering, throwing the ball off the wall with chat for a while, like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I believe. Who knows how time flies. It goes by in such a crazy manner these days. It's really hard to, determine how much time really went by. Especially it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. Just, asking chat some shit. And, I was really dealing with, how I do these instrumentals because they're instrumentals. Okay? The whole point of an instrumental is for it to be a fucking instrumental. Instruments, not speaking. All right? Or having a fucking hook on there. Anyway, Salakia. But, and I was talking about how, really, if you look in the 2000s, 2000s was the last era, and I mean, it was already pretty much bullshit, but it was the last era that had some semblance of quality, okay? And it all goes by, your when you were born, right? Of course, the people that were born in the 40s and 50s and think the 2000s sucked, and so on and so forth. I mean, America's been in a state of decline since the 60s. I mean, really, with 1969. But it's been in a constant state of decay, all right, or degeneration, for quite some time. And I mean, you had the 70s, and I was basically talking about that. I know how America's been. I wish I would have saved the chat, but I didn't. And America's been in a constant state. You had the 70s, all right. You had the fabulous 50s. I don't know what they deem the 60s, the summer of love and the hippies, and of course you had governmental corruption that was always around in the background, but there was a veil. And I was talking about how in the 70s, you had, in the 60s and 70s, you had the hippies and disco, right? In the 80s, you had hair metal and, all this different, the partying and the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. In the 90s, you had, probably the biggest time of Jake intermingling with Esau and Esau intermingling with Jake. And there was kind of this weird, Jake, Jake and Esau, Esau has always hated us, but there was almost like a, fuck it, whatever, we hate each other, but we're going to party it up, right? Doesn't matter, we're going to party it up. And that happened in the 2000s. I mean, you had some semblance of, like atmosphere there. I don't really know how to explain it. People that were alive, they know, things just really started getting bad. They improved for a little bit after, 9/11. All right, because they had that whole unity bullshit, and then they started using that as, you know, a way to have constant surveillance. All right, the Patriot Act and a whole bunch of other shit that was going on. But, you know, and what I say in about a 10 to 15 year period from the year 2000 to 2015, we can just say, and it's really longer than that. It's more complicated than that. You know, we've seen a lot of big box franchise stores go out, and we've seen, you know, I mean, if you look at what a 2000s Taco Bell looked like, all right, 90s and 2000s Taco Bell, right? I mean, and I don't mean to just take you down a trip. I mean, really what I was doing is I was taking people call it nostalgia. And it's deeper than nostalgia, you know, thinking back to how you were when a kid, and people are like, oh, it's nostalgia, it's rose-tinted glasses, that's why you think things were better. And I mean, to some extent, yeah, but I mean, if you just look, you know, look at the atmosphere. If you look at a Taco Bell, everything's become corporatized. We want to find a modern one now. You know, everything's become gray. Everything's become, look, I mean, they had it set up almost like a little cantina, you know, kind of like Mexican influence, and they had like the Baja type coloring and, you know, the 90s style little artwork, all right, with all the, there was a name for the type of artwork, and I mean, look at how like fun the logos were, right, and everything, and now it's just like, even the logo for Taco Bell went from this, and I mean, you know, look at the interior now, it's just painfully gray. Okay, and the logo now just, I mean, everything went with that minimalist look, that flat, what do they call it, metro style logo. All right, not metro, what do they call it, the material, not material, what do they call those things? Modern style logo, I don't know what they're called, but it's all flat. Okay, it's all flat and minimalistic, right? They took away all of the life from everything and they just made it flat. Okay, you can see that with pretty much just anything. I mean, look at the Apple logo now. And then you look at the 1980s Apple logo, right? And I mean, you can see it had, like, there was more life within it. Okay, you can see how it just got, look, boom, took away everything, flat. Okay, which was kind of how it was in 1998 as well, but they quickly changed it. Okay, so it only stayed like that for 98, 99, 2000, 3 years, and then they changed it, right? They wanted some more, they, you know, 2001, 2007 with their whole arrow type theme, all right, the glossy theme, and then they took it away, right? And I mean, I personally think their 1977, early 1980s, all through the 80s logo was the best. I think it was the best. I just think it just I don't know, man. It had, you know, I don't know. It just looked good. You know, that's all I can explain. But that's not really what I'm getting. I'm not just taking a trip down nostalgia lane. You know, everything's become flattened. They've actually did a study. The world becoming more gray. You can see as soon as I said less colorful. All right, the world is becoming less colorful. And it says, yes, the world is becoming less colorful. Studies are showing a trend towards grayscale in consumer goods, fashion, branding, driven by efficiency, global marketing, and modern aesthetics. Everything's become gray. All right, and people are saying, I hate how the world is becoming less colorful. And, you know, and all on top of that, people are becoming more depressed. They're making things more gray. You know, I mean, look how everything is. You know, back in the day, you had, like, look, you had orange cars, yellow cars, you know, maroon cars, baby blue cars, aquamarine cars. Now you have red, silver, black, and gray. Right? That's primarily what you have, red, silver, black, and gray, with an odd chance that you might have a variant of gray or you might have a very dark blue, right? And that's pretty much all you get. You see, look, 1970s car interiors and 2025 car interiors. And the thing is that I'm not just rambling and, you know, busting my gums or bumping my gums for no reason. If you look at it, you know, if you look at nature, nature is filled with color. You see oranges, you've seen reds, you see grays, you've seen blues. Us, especially as Israelites, used to nature, you know, those things are natural. We see those. And when you make everything gray, you're taking away the life. You're taking away the color from everything. And it is going to cause depression. It is going to cause a lack of, like, real world identity with things, because everything, you know, there's not there's more earth tones and color in the environment than there is blacks and grays. There's not a whole lot of naturally occurring blacks and grays in the environment. You've got, I mean, the sky, the night sky really isn't black. I mean, it's a very dark blue, all right, to purple, depending, all right. And then you could say, well, the only other naturally existing gray would be like stone, right? Which if you look at stone or mountains, it's really not just a, we can go to the Rocky Mountain. It's not just gray. I mean, they have a whole plethora of colors. It's like a, you know, grayish, bluish, purplish color. I mean, everybody's seen a fucking mountain, right? I mean, you can look at a mountain, everybody's seen one before. And then there's, you know, borders of whether it might be, or snow, might have snow on the top and have a little bit of color in that. And, I mean, look at the colors that you're seeing here, right? A bluish, palish, you know, baby blue sky with, you know, purplish, bluish, darkish, you know, gray rocks with, you know, blue water and green trees and sandy beige and taupe colors around the coastline. You're not seeing a whole lot of gray or black here, right? And are you seeing a whole lot of gray or black here? Not really. No, you're seeing browns and greens, you know, almost ruddy shades of like water under here is like a brownish, reddish color with blue and blue skies. And I mean, you're seeing grayish tones within the clouds. I mean, it does exist, but I mean, in oranges and in trees and aspen trees and whatnot, you're seeing all these different things in yellows and greens and various shades. And then you come into, I mean, look at this mountain. You see shades of orange and all these different things. I mean, you look at the sunset, right? You look at the sunset. And you see, it won't let me go there for some reason, but you see the sunset and you get colors of purple and orange and pink, right? You get all these colors and now everything's just, flat. I mean, you go from this McDonald's to this McDonald's, all right? This one is always going to forever look better. It has color, it has vibrance, it has life. This is lacking life, okay? And it's all part of Esau's scale. And the thing is, like I said, I was just rambling about this. I said, and nobody seems to really care. Nobody really seems to think, oh, you know, the world's kind of getting more grim. You know, no one's ever really thinking, oh, you know, things are getting kind of, and it's not just with the color. I'm using the color as an example. But, you know, I mentioned the 15-year period in which a lot of the big, huge stores, I mean, in general, what I'm talking about here is the fact that America's falling and nobody really cares to see it. Okay, this is almost like another prologue to before we finish up, and I should be able to get it done in the next day or two because I'm feeling a lot better. Call all you how Bosh and meow shy. I'm pretty much 100% over the cold, I believe, Lord willing. And most of it's just like a little nasaliness, and that's pretty much gone. I mean, you could probably hear it over the last few lessons I made. It's pretty much gone. Pretty much good. Like slight sniffles here and there, but I mean, for the most part, it's not even an issue now. All right, I'm not blowing my nose constantly like I was for the past few days. So call all you how Bosh and meow shy for that. But anyway, enough of the rambling. Let's get to some scriptures, because I've grossly overshot the 10-minute mark by 3 minutes. All right, but yeah, man. So you know, and you mentioned to people about this, and they don't really think about it, and that's really where the ChatGPT conversation was going. It's like, why doesn't anybody stop to think that America, you know, is getting worse? It seems like, and I basically said, it seems like, you know, and America's been bad for a long time, but it seems like at some point they just dropped the veil. All right, the elites dropped the veil. They weren't trying, you know, they were waving their dicks around at us in behind curtains. Now they've dropped the curtains and they're just openly waving their dicks around, and nobody seems to give a shit. All right, and Jake doesn't seem to give a shit because they love this place for whatever fucking reason. All right, Jake just loves this place. Here it is, you have it the hardest here, Jake. All right, you're struggling. All right, you have to do, you know, illicit activities just to get the money, and you love it here. This place fucking sucks. It's not worth trying to build up a life in the society, Jake. It's not. And they're suffering from something called willful ignorance. And before I want to go on, I wanted to explain about what I talked about in the big box stores. Sears, going out of business. Okay, Sears is effectively going out of business with only a handful of physical stores left, around 5 as of late 2025. So Sears is pretty much gone, man. And you got to think about, when did Sears open? It was like the 1800s. 1900s. Well, no, 1800s. Yeah. So Sears started as a mail-ordered watch business in 1886, 1800s, right? By Richard Seals, officially becoming Sears in 1893. But its first retail store opened in February 2nd of 1925. If you ever look, you can actually see early Sears catalog guns, right? And I mentioned this. This is from 1902. If any of you brothers have played Red Dead Redemption 2 store, look, right? This is Red Dead Redemption 2. It was based off these early Sears catalogs. You can see it. All right, it was based off these early Sears catalog, 1902. And I mean, it's been around since, 1886. Okay, 1886. Slovakia. But in 1893. All right, so if you take 2025 minus 1893, that's 132 years in business. And in a matter of the last 20 years, 15, 20 years, we've lost list of American businesses or retail stores that have, well, actually, we'll just open ChatGPT. List of American prevalent American retail and big box stores that have gone out of business in the last 15 years. Okay? Think about all these places. Huge, look. Bed Bath & Beyond. Fry's Electronics. Party City. 99-cent only stores. And that's true. It says announced liquidation of all 371 stores. And that was a big thing here in Vegas. Bob's Stores. Big Lots. Joann's. Family Dollar. All right, massive store closures. I mean, some of these haven't closed yet, but they are closing. All right, Rite Aid, Forever 21, J.C. Penney. Let's see, Walgreen major store closure program. CVS also closing stores as part of downsizing. Some of these aren't all out of business. Macy's, Kohl's, Family Dollar and Dollar Tree, Toys R Us, Radio Shack. I mean, they're not mentioning Borders. All right, a lot of people don't even remember Borders. Okay, Borders bookstore. Remember this? Does that bring back something to you? Remember you could go in there and there's coffee. It'd be like a Starbucks right in the corner. And I mean, it's mostly become assimilated into Barnes and Nobles. But it was Borders was better. Borders was better. It was just different. It had a homey vibe. And Circuit City was better than Blockbuster. At least I think so. And this is not even mentioning Hollywood Video, Blockbuster, right? EB Games, because it came a conglomerate with GameStop. So, I mean, you got to think about all these things. Rue 21, I don't even know if I mentioned that one. But all of these, look, it says quick snapshot. Notable retailers basically gone from 2010 to 2025. Bed Bath & Beyond, Fry's Electronics, Tuesday Morning, Bob's Stores, Joann Fabrics, Toys R Us, Pier 1 Imports, Lord & Taylor, Payless. Forgot about Payless. Some of these I don't know. Modals, Bon-Ton, Sears and Kmart. Forgot about Kmart. Yeah, Party City, Big Lots, Rite Aid, Macy's. Reductions ongoing. So, I mean, think about it, man. Like, this place is going out and nobody wants to really think about it. And that's what the chat was about. I'm trying to get through it as much as I can, explaining before we get in the scriptures. And people don't want to know anything about it. And when we prophesy, America's going out, man. America is falling. This place is going out like Rome. And people don't want to hear it, all right? Because they'd rather have willful ignorance, all right? And what is willful ignorance? I'm going to get this part and then get into the lessons because I've talked for far too long. It says, willful ignorance is the deliberate act of avoiding or refusing to learn about something, often because the truth is uncomfortable, inconvenient, or challenges existing beliefs, allowing individuals to escape responsibility or maintain a self-image common in personal, political, and legal contexts. It's a conscious choice to stay uninformed, differing from genuine ignorance. No, they're not just dumb. They choose to be dumb. All right. It says, and can be seen in avoiding climate facts, refusing evidence about a bad choice, acting as a mental shield against difficult truths. And, this truth is difficult for people to understand, that all things in the society are going to be completely done away with. Yeah, that's something that's difficult for people to grasp, that the world's a piece of shit now. All right. And I mean, the Lord's creation is still great, but I mean, as far as this governing body and like the kings of this place is falling apart. All right, you got stores closing down. You got people losing their jobs. All right, the economy's out of the fucking market. I mean, it's the fucking housing market's horrible. Grocery prices are fucking horrible. Gas prices are fucking horrible. I mean, you're getting paid, $17 an hour, but you're paying $7 for a fucking gallon of milk some places. Sometimes even more, right? And that's what $10 for a box of fucking cereal. $10 for a box of fucking cereal. I mean, it's gone down a little bit, but I don't even eat this shit anymore. But what was it? Raisin. How do you spell raisin? Bran. How much is it for a box of Raisin Bran now? $4 or $5. All right, $4 or $5. But for a while ago, it's gone down a little bit. All right, but I don't know if you remember, about a year ago, Raisin Bran was about $10. All right, it was about 10 fucking bucks. Okay, so, and it was bad, $10, because they're having problems there. I guess there was a grain shortage. That's the other thing to mention. All these fucking shortages. There's a grain shortage, a chicken shortage. Now they're saying there's a toilet paper shortage again. All right, toilet paper shortage. You can see this is a huge thing now. So as of September 25, no, it was late 2025. It says major manufacturers produce 85 to 90. But yeah, no, there's a new thing that I heard just recently. They're saying that there's a toilet paper shortage, right? Again. So it's everything in the society is just bullshit. And we try to warn, we try to tell people, all right, especially our people, the Israelites, because this is really who this is for. That's why these scriptures are dealing with the Israelites. We try to warn them, all right, but they don't want to hear it. They want to have willful ignorance. They want, no, that's not true, man. That's not what it is. All right, and they don't want to hear it. All right, they don't want to hear the harsh reality. They don't want to hear the harsh truth. They don't want to hear that this society's going down, because they love it. Okay, they love the society. They love everything about it. Okay, so Proverbs 1:22 says, how long, so we'll start from here. How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity, and the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. So in this knowledge, of course, is this truth. And if you would understand this truth, you can't begin to understand the things of the world without understanding this truth. This truth reveals a lot. All right, not just about the truth, but about the world. It reveals the truth about people. All right, once you have the truth, it's like the key of all keys that can open up, understanding to a lot of things. And these people are out here trying to understand life when they don't have truth. All right, they don't understand you how Bash Meow Shy, and you can't begin to try to start comprehending things without knowing this truth. That's the start of knowledge. Okay, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools hate wisdom. All right, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, but fools hate knowledge. Let's go and get it. Right here. Well, I mean, this is fine. This is Proverbs 9:10. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. That's not the one I was necessarily looking for. The one I was looking for was... yeah, right here. Proverbs 1:7, it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. So take those two scriptures and put them together. Excellent. All right, you got a lot of people that they don't like wisdom, they don't like instruction, and they don't like the Lord, and they don't fear the Lord. So they're not going to get those things. Okay, they're not going to get knowledge, they're not going to get wisdom, because they don't fear the Lord. So if you don't understand this truth, you're not going to fear the Lord. All right, and if you don't fear the Lord, you're not going to have knowledge. So those people out in the world, they don't fear the Lord because they don't know the Lord. And if they don't know the Lord, they don't fear the Lord. And if you don't fear the Lord, you don't have wisdom. If you don't have wisdom, then you're just dumb as shit. Okay? You're just dumb as shit. And that's what these people are. They're dumb as shit. And they're out here trying to, think that they know anything. But these people can't formulate basic thought. They can't think. Okay? They can't think, and they don't have, and I was talking to ChatGPT about it, they don't have the ability. It said most people lack the ability to to even compare, all right, and contrast. Say, this time was better, this time was worse. We're living in a worse time than it used to be, because most people just keep their heads down. They say, oh, things are going to get better. No, stop being negative. Stop being negative. My whole life, that's one thing I'll say. My whole life, I was always constantly told by my father, mind you, stop being negative, stop being negative, stop being negative. Okay? And mind you, I don't remember ever being incessantly negative. Okay? I just remember being realist. All right? And people don't like realism. Okay? People don't like it. People don't like realistic thought patterns. Okay? It would say, I would say, oh, this is gonna, this is probably gonna happen, and stop being so negative. I'm like, well, if you look at the way it's going, the outcome is not good. Stop being negative. I don't want to hear all that fucking negativity, right? And the fact of the matter was, it's just the truth. Okay, that's you could say, oh, you're talking about the end of the world and people dying and everything getting worse, and just stop with all the fucking negativity, right? No, it's not negativity. It's the truth. It's the truth. If you want to stay, blissfully ignorant, okay, then go right ahead, right? None of us are gonna stop you from doing so. We're just gonna let you know that it is blissful ignorance for a reason, okay? Or as they say, ignorance is bliss. All right, because in your ignorance, you're not gonna, understand the true severity of the matter. Really, is what it is, right? So they don't want to do that. All right, they don't want to do that. What's going on here? Okay, but yeah. So again, Proverbs 1:22. How long, ye simple ones? And simple really means stupid. Okay, how long, you simple ones, you stupid ones, will you love simplicity, stupidity? How long, you stupid ones, will you love stupidity? That's simple as a nicer archaic word for stupid. Look it up. It says, how long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. All right, it gives an opportunity here. It says, turn ye at my reproof. Behold, I will turn out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Okay. It says, because I have called and you refused, I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded. The Lord stretched out his hand and you slapped it away. Then what's going to happen? It says, but you have set at naught all my counsel, and with none of my reproof. Setting something at naught is setting it up as nothingness. All right. The English would know that. They say, oh, it's all for naught. All right. They still use that word to this day. Oh, mate, it was all for naught, mate. Which means it was all for nothing. All right. You did it for nothing. It was useless. Okay. And you've set the Lord's counsel up as being useless, all right, to you. So what's he going to do? Verse 26, it says, I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. So, and the Lord sent forth his prophets, all right, as it said, Lord sent forth his prophets, but you would not hearken unto them, roughly paraphrasing. The Lord sent you his prophets, all right, prophets on the highways and byways, prophets on YouTube. I mean, you got brothers talking about it on TikTok to an extent, all right, and you didn't care, all right? You didn't hearken, as the scriptures say. You didn't hearken unto it. So you didn't listen to the men that was warning, and the men were sent by the Lord, all right? When we make these videos, we're not just doing these for us. We're doing these for the Lord, all right? We didn't choose to do this at the end of the day. This is something that the Lord made us do, okay? The Lord made us make these videos. The Lord controls all things. You need to understand what omnipotence means. Omnipotence is having an ultimate level of uninfringible control, okay? No one can infringe upon it. You can put it in someone's mind to do something, and they're just going to do it. Okay, and in my mind, I say, oh, I got to make a lesson today. But I don't really have a choice, right? At the end of the day, we really don't have a choice. It's just within us to do it. It's just something we do. We have to do it, all right? And there's even days where we don't feel like making a lesson, right? There's days where we don't feel like making a lesson. There's days where we might not have the Holy Spirit working with us as heavy as the yesterday or the day before, right? We might be struggling. There's days where topics come boom, 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 boom. And there's days where you're like, I don't really know. You know, you kind of get like, there's times where like, man, I don't know. You know, you kind of get, is it like, what do they say, selection anxiety? You know, you have to, I could go on the Edomites. I kind of already went on the Edomites. Don't know if I want to go on the Edomites again. I go on the women. I don't want to fucking talk about these women. I don't really know what I'm doing with the women. Maybe I'll do it with the women. Let me go and look at the scriptures. I'm not really doing that either. Man. And you ponder for an hour. You go back to, you know, work, you know, and then you ponder a little bit more. And then you just start, you know, it's like a burning. Like it says, it was on me like a burning in my bones. All right. As the scriptures say. So we had to do it. It's like a burning in our bone. And we had to do it. We're like, man, we got to make a lesson. Because we can't rest until the lesson is made. Okay. We can't rest until the lesson is made. All right. That's the Spirit. That's the Lord. Right? We can't quench that. We can't quench the Spirit. You're not supposed to. As the scripture says, quench not the Spirit. So, but, you know, you don't think that the men that are teaching are the prophets. And guess what? That's fine. All right. There's people back in the day, all right, in biblical days that didn't think that the prophets were, you know, sent by the Lord. All right. Or were anybody special at the end of the day. Right? But, you know, you guys ain't nothing. Right? And I mean, we consider ourselves nothing, all right, because we're humble, all right, or at least we try to be. But I mean, we might not be anything, but the words we're saying are something, right? And I mean, ultimately, the prophets are something, all right. We just consider ourselves to be nothing. But I consider the prophets to be something, all right. The other prophets, all right, the other brothers that are teaching and preaching, all right, whether I be a prophet or evangelist, all right. You know, whatever I happen to be, I'm not sure. You know, sometimes I consider myself an evangelist. All right, there's differences, but, you know, whatever I happen to be, at the end of the day, I don't know my own way. That's all of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, so I really don't know if I'm a prophet or evangelist. I'm just teaching and preaching the word, right, to the best of my ability. All right, and sometimes, hell, you know, we can never go farther. We could always do 10 lessons a day. All right, so there's nothing. We can never go to a level of extremeness. All right. I mean, look at the apostles. Some of the apostles are making 4, 5, 6 lessons a day. Sometimes even more, man. All right. The apostle Tahar was recently talking. He made a lesson that was like 4 hours long. He had to cut it down and set it up as like was it 4 hours? It might have even been 6. He said it was a long, like 4 or 5 hours, and he had to cut it down into several lessons. All right. But yeah, Isaiah 30 and 10, it says, we can actually go from verse 8. This is talking about the Israelites, of course, us, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Verse 8, it says, Isaiah 30 and 8, it says, now go, write it before them in a table, and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever, that this is a rebellious people, referring to Israel, lying children that will not hear the law of the Lord. All right, and if you knew the law of the Lord and you knew this truth, you would understand what's going on in the world, but you don't. You'd rather remain blissfully ignorant, right? Willfully ignorant, I should say. And the bliss is only going to last for, you know, a time being, all right, until your ass is destroyed. So Isaiah 30 and 10, it says, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. So again, which say to the seers, those are prophets, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. It says, Isaiah 30 and 11, it says, get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. And that's really how these people think, man. All right. Now this is great. Isaiah 30 and 12, it says, wherefore thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word and trust in oppression and perverseness and stay thereon. All right. Therefore this iniquity, this wickedness, this sin, shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. And that's the thing, you know, you have that bliss, or that ignorance, and it, sure, right, you're gonna stay like that. You're gonna trust in oppression and wickedness and all the what's the, you know, the draconic law and beast system is really what it is with Esau. You're gonna trust that, and then one day, just like it says, it's gonna be a breach ready to fall, and it's gonna keep on going and going and going and going, swelling out in a high wall, and then that wall is eventually gonna crack, and it's gonna break suddenly in an instant, and you're gonna be, and then what's gonna happen? All right, you're gonna be taken apart. You're gonna be drowned and taken apart. All right, so, and taken apart limb by limb. All right, and there's no one you can complain to, but you can't blame the Lord. The Lord warns you. All right, and that's what Hosea 4 and 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. You're going to be destroyed for your lack of knowledge, Jake. It says, because thou hast rejected knowledge, and you've rejected it, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, I will also forget thy children. So I'm going to forget you. Okay? And dealing with dummies, Proverbs 18 and 2, a fool hath no delight in understanding, but that his heart may discover itself. You don't want it. You don't want the knowledge. You don't want to understand it. Matter of fact, in the AMP Bible, all right, the Amplified Bible, which I've been liking lately, all right, for doing breakdowns, it says so it gives you like these little parentheses or brackets, all right, that it says speaking of a closed-minded, fool does not, and really, I don't like that it says closed-minded. It really should be open-minded, but it's really closed-minded to this truth. Your mind should be open to this truth and closed to everything else. So I guess I'll let it slide, right? A closed-minded, according to this truth, all right, fool does not delight in understanding, but only in revealing his personal opinions, unwittingly displaying his self-indulgent, and unwillingly displaying his self-indulgence and his stupidity. Crazy. All right, let's get 2 Thessalonians 2 and 10 through 11. It says, and with all deceivableness and unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause Yahweh shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. And that's what's going on. A lot of these people are believing in a lie. They believe in a false hope, a false sense of reality, getting better. All right, or they believe in, Jesus Christ instead of, Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right, and we understand that the word Jesus Christ is in the Bible. We understand that name there, but it's a false translation. When you translate that name correctly, it's Yahushai, and then for Jesus, it's Yahushai. That's the true name of the Son. The Father's name, where you see God or Jah or I am, that's Yahweh. Okay, that's the true Father's name, Yahweh. The Son's name is Yahushai, and then when you see the word Christ, that translates Hebrew into Hamashiach. Okay? Hamashiach. So, we don't say Jesus Christ. But because Jesus Christ, if you look up Jesus Christ, you're going to see a white man. If you look up Yahushai or Yahweh, you're going to see a so-called black man. And that fits according to the scriptures in the Bible. Okay? The white man with long, brown, blue eyes, that doesn't fit according to the scriptures. Not Revelation 1 and 14. Not at all. Okay? Go and look up Revelation 1 and 14. Then go look up the word Jesus. All right? Just type in Jesus, and then go see and compare and contrast, and then look up Jesus, look up Yahushai, type in Jesus, type in Yahushai, and then go to Revelation 1 and 14 in the King James Version, and then just go and read it, all right? And then compare the two photos and see which one comes out on top. And the photo of Yahushai isn't actually Yahushai. It's not actually how he looks, all right? It's how he is... a rough approximation of how he looks. If you look at Yahushua, you'll see slightly different facial features, all right? It's a rough approximation of the skin color, the eye color, the hair, all right? And garment that's mentioned in Revelation 1 and 14. Okay, it's not his literal picture of him. We don't know literally how he looks. It's just a better depiction. We're not saying worship that image. We're saying that's just a closer image according to Revelation 1 and 14 of how he could potentially look, because it ain't how Jesus looks, all right, because that doesn't fit Revelation 1 and 14 at all. Okay, so Jesus fits Caesar Borgia, all right. That's who. Look up Caesar or Cesare Borgia. That's who Jesus fits, all right. But Yahushai fits Yahushai. So 2 Thessalonians 2 and 10 through 11. This is pretty good. It says, verse 10, it says, and by unlimited seduction to evil, with all the deception and wickedness for those who are perishing, because they did not welcome the love of the truth of the gospel, so as to be saved, they were spiritually blind and rejected the truth that would have saved them. I just like this part. Honestly, the biggest thing that hits are these little brackets. They were spiritually blind and rejected the truth that would have saved them. All right, and that was 2 Thessalonians 2 and 10. All right, I'll get 11 too. In 11 it says, because of this, Yahweh will send upon them a misleading influence, an activity of error and deception, so that they will believe the lie. Okay, Amplified Bible. There you go. Like I said, the Lord's going to send them a delusion. Okay, so 2 Timothy 4 and 3 and 4 again is really speaking of this delusion. It says in verse 3, for the time will come where they will not endure sound doctrine. Sound is, structured, secure, right. Okay? They don't want to hear right things. Okay? So, it's like it says, prophesy to seats. Okay? So, it says, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth. They're going to turn away from the prophets, notably, GMS. All right. And then what are they going to do? And shall be turned unto fables. A fable is a made-up storytell. All right. Storytell? Storytell. I think that's a word. Fairy tale. Made-up fairy tale. Okay. Storybook. All right. It's made-up storybook or fairy tale. That's what a fable is. Okay. Usually conveying a meaning. All right. For example, the boy who cried wolf. That's a fable. All right. And the meaning? Don't lie. All right, because one day that wolf's actually going to be out there eating your ass up. All right, and you're going to say, woof, woof, woof. And they're going to say, nope, there that boy is crying about that fucking wolf again that's never there. And this time there's actually a wolf. So that's a fable, all right? It's a false story that is used to convey a moral principle, okay? So you'd rather be turned unto, Mother Goose, Mary Had a Little Lamb, all these different fucking things. The Boy Who Cried Wolf, all right? All those different things. 3 Blind Mice, see how they run? Where the fuck are they going, right? So, you'd rather listen to that type of story, these fake stories, and then instead of the truth, which just shows how much of an idiot you are. All right? Not to throw around ad hominem attacks, but it's true. It just shows how stupid you are. All right? You're even stupider than I think you were. Which, of course, is obviously a stupid saying in itself, right? It's purposely meant to sound stupid. That's not even a word. We know. But, what is it? What was it? You're not as stupid as I thunk you were, right? Something. You're not as stupid as I thunk you were. No, there was an old saying. I don't remember how it goes. You're not as dumb as I thunk you were, or you're not as stupid as I thunk you were, right? Basically, making fun of them because you're making it seem like you're stupid too. But yeah, man. So these people are dumb. I mean, that much at least is evident, and they're gonna be destroyed in their lack of knowledge, their lack of wisdom, and too bad, so sad. But these people really don't have they don't have an intelligible thought within their brain. All right, they don't think about society. They don't think about the degradation. They don't think about the crumbling of America. I at this point, I don't even know. All right, I don't know. I'm in this truth. All right, through Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Through Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So tongue twister. Through Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So Barakatha Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Woo! All right, I'm in this truth through Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So Barakatha Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Okay. That's what I meant to say. I was getting stuck up on the right? But, yeah, man. So, it's not, and you brothers and sisters in this truth, you Yahweh Shem Yahushai as well. So you're not, our brains are really not according to the world. So at this point, I'm assuming that these people don't really think that anything's going on other than Trump. Trump's a bad president. I think if we had Kamala in or something like that, these people would be fully under the impression that the world's fine. All right? Because, oh, yeah, the black, white, Indian woman, we don't really know who she is, is president. And we all love her because she's a woman. Woo! They'd just be under that and they think the world's fine. The world's so great. Right? But because it's Trump, and a lot of these people just hate Trump to hate him. I mean, he's an asshole, sure. He's a horrible president. But even, it doesn't matter who, right, would have got elected. Whether it be Bernie Sanders or Kamala or fucking Johnny Big Dick himself, all right? It doesn't matter who would have got elected, all right? The world would have still been shit, all right? The world still would have been shit, okay? And, I mean, that's that. okay? But these people are just coasting off of Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. If it's Kamala, they would, oh, the world's good. The world's not good. The world would be bad under Kamala. The world would be bad under Trump. All right, it is bad under Trump. It was bad under Biden. It was bad under Trump. It was bad under Obama. It was bad under fucking Reagan. It was bad under Kennedy. It was bad under, I was bad under all these fucking people. It's bad. This world's going out. The society's going out, man. America is falling. Babylon is falling. All right, in a sense. All right, it hasn't really fallen yet. All right, but it's falling morally. All right, there's a the steady structural decay of Babylon. All right, and moral decay. So, but these people really don't. They just think, oh, the president, oh, whoever president is the world's bad or good or not. No, it would still be bad if Kamala or Kamala, however you want to pronounce her fucking name. I don't care. All right, Trump, right? Same name. All right, just pronounced different. But Putin, right? You know, we know how to pronounce their names, but we know it's Kamala. Anyway, but these people would think everything was fine. All right, if they allowed the gays to get married and have 24/7 gay festivals and drugs were legal, these people, oh, world's great. No, it's not. No, it's not. It'd be plunging deeper into depravity, and they'd be thinking it's great. So I'm fully assured. All right, that these people don't understand what good or bad is at this point. I really don't think they do. That's the only reasonable explanation I can at least fathom. Because it doesn't seem that they know what good or bad is according to the society. It's because shit has been bad for a while. So anyway, I'm gonna get off here. I'm rambling. But yeah, man. So that's the lesson. These people really can't, you know, they can't tell their asshole from their elbow at the end of the day. All right, that's what we're gonna leave it out with. So with that, I'm going to close out. Lord, one, it was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I want to say shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. You know, be blessed that you're awake and not asleep like these people. Make sure to give extra praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, because, you know, they're definitely worth it. All right, you cannot go far enough. All right, to praise Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai and serve Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So keep enduring, keep praising Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, keep praying, keep repenting, and Lord willing, we'll be out of here soon, Lord willing. Until next one, Lord willing, shalom.